Hey everyone, I'm Tyler Metcalf, and I watched the film so you don't have to. On this video, we're taking a look at Nate Ament, who, for my money, just had his best game in a Tennessee jersey against Alabama, where he finished with 29 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, and admittedly, I've been really harsh on Ament all year because I don't think he's come anywhere close to meeting the expectations that others, rightfully or wrongfully, laid out for him coming into the year, but also I think he's fallen way short of how good of a player he could be. This game against Alabama felt like his most well rounded, his most aggressive, his most complete game, and exactly what we, or at least that I hope to see him continue to grow into as a player. If we get this version of him for the rest of the year, then now we can start reigniting some of those lottery top 10 kinds of talks because so far he hasn't gotten up to that standpoint. He hasn't met that threshold. He hasn't met those expectations, unfortunately. But this game against Alabama, he looked really, really solid. Let's take a look at the film, see what stood out, see why I'm really encouraged by this performance from him. Welcome to Film School. Let's dive in. So let's just run through Ament's game chronologically from start to finish with some of the plays that really stood out with his decisiveness and composure and comfort level in that on ball or off ball creation role, excuse me. So here we see him in that right corner. And it'd be great if he just let the shot fly, but a little predetermined here that he wants to attack the closeout towards the middle. He had baseline there, could have let it fly off the catch. Regardless, attacks middle, nothing's there. All right, whatever. Get rid of it, recycle. But I love here that he doesn't just give up on the play. Instead, he gets off of it, nice little jab step, goes the other way, comes back middle to create a little bit of space, comes off that screen really tightly, and now he's just attacking the drop defender. Gillespie does a good job of clearing out on the left side here to give Ament even more space. And as Millette recovers, there's no communication here defensively, so he goes with the roller. Sherrill never steps up to take away the jump shot. Ament reads it. Really good just processing, recognition of this situation. Nice little slowdown to potentially put Millette in jail, but Ament is able to recognize that he's so far behind the play that it doesn't matter. So he just continues on to the free throw line, rises up, wide open jumper. Simple, effective, and really decisive from him. Ament's been drawing a ton of fouls all year, so him getting to the line a bunch in this game wasn't out of the ordinary, but I thought it felt different in this game. And I know it's like, oh, it felt different? Cool. Well, there were a lot more examples of this, of him being really aggressive and using that aggressiveness to get downhill, play with some physicality, and really impose himself on the game, which in the past, it's been a lot of ticky-tack stuff in the mid-range. So here, doesn't like the screen. Bama's playing at the level. He doesn't like it. Just waits for defender to clear out. And then just nice little rip through drive here. Goes middle. Gets Bowen leaning one way. Little rocker step. Gets him leaning that way. Rip through towards the middle. And now he has a really nice lane to attack down into. And I just love the aggressiveness here that he doesn't shy away from the contact. He goes full speed at the rim. He doesn't get a bucket here, but just being really aggressive, realizing that, hey, he's almost 210 pounds, 6'10", like play like it every now and then. And today was one of the first times where we really saw that. Goes up, initiates the contact, doesn't shy away from the rotation, gets the foul, doesn't get the bucket, but I just really, really like the mindset here of being aggressive, getting downhill, and using his size and length to draw legitimate fouls and create really interesting scoring chances. Very little of Ament's production in this game came from behind the arc, but I just like the simplicity here as well. So initially on the drive, he gets walled up, pretty common theme with him. Defenders can stay attached. Nice defense here by Bethea, but he walls off the drive, and Ament has nowhere to go. A couple weeks ago, he might be trying some really tough contested turnaround mid-range jumper. He had a couple of those in this game, but here he just plays simple, doesn't like it, waits for Gillespie to get open. As he does, once he does so, Ament immediately gets off the ball, but then immediately relocates as well. stays shot ready, quick, decisive, right off the catch, wide open, I guess, late contest here, but just really playing within himself and not forcing it, not trying to chuck up some potentially sexy mid-range turnaround for the highlight reel, but just plays simple basketball, gets off of it when he needs to, immediately relocates and lets it fly once he recognizes the defender isn't closing out in time. Now, nothing about Ament's game this year is really stressed that he can be a big time playmaker, but there's some really encouraging flashes of him being just a complementary connective passer in that off ball role. So as the play develops here, he lifts out of the corner to come get it, and he's just waiting for this stuff on the weak side here to develop. But at his size, he should be able to see over most defenders, and he is a relatively accurate, intelligent passer who can see the floor well. And when he just plays simple like this and like he did throughout this game, good things tend to happen. So as I believe that's Bishop Boswell circles out, he's just reading Gillespie on this weak side here. So the play is set up for Gillespie to curl off this pin down screen from Estrella, but defender is topping him and really playing aggressive ball denial defense. Ament is reading it the whole way. He sees the situation developing, and he's just waiting for Gillespie to come free. Once Gillespie releases towards the rim, Ament knows that there's no one there because the rim protector's occupied with Akpara, Bishop Boswell's defenders coming with him. So he knows that that left block is totally unoccupied, and Gillespie is freeing himself up, cutting to the rim, spots it perfectly, puts it at a level where Gillespie can just catch it midair, go right up with it, not waste any time, catch, come down, go back up, puts it right where it needs to be. Super easy layup. Here we get back to Ament creating a little more for himself out of the pick and roll, getting to a spot in the mid-range, and playing simple. It's the common theme throughout this game with him. When he plays simple and decisive, good things tend to happen. So early offense before the defense really gets set, gets a screen to get the matchup on the even smaller guard against LeBaron Philon. They switch it, and just really quick, decisive crossover there. Philon's pointing, communicating the switch. Ament, nice little crossover, is able to attack Philon's high foot here, forces Philon to open up. Little slow footwork from Philon here to go with Ament, which then causes Philon to have to turn his hips parallel to the baseline to fully chase and recover because now he's behind the play. Ament recognizes it. He knows that he's also not going to be able to completely turn the corner and get downhill, but the fact that he's here, he's already created a good amount of space, but he also knows that Philon's momentum is going the other way. So he plants that right foot, gets really low, allows him to maintain his body control, really good balance, straight up and down, stops on a dime, sends Philon reeling the other direction because that's where his momentum's taking him, and just really good decisiveness here by Ament. Plants that right foot, rises straight up, good high release point. That's about as wide open as you're going to get. Easy 2 points. On this one, we again see Ament use that off-ball activity to get a favorable matchup, get a switch that he likes, and then just be really aggressive and physical getting downhill. So as he runs off this screen, he forces the switch, gets the wing defender off of him, and now he just goes to work. Low crossover, gets the defender leaning one way. He's just waiting for the rim protector to start leaning. He then attacks middle, attacks that high foot, and once he gets the defender to open his hips up like this, does a really nice job of getting low, trying to turn this corner, and then doesn't shy away from the contact. Again, a month ago, he's probably fading away here or trying to pivot back and throw up some circus shot, but he's just playing really direct, doesn't get the bucket here, but is aggressive, draws the contact, takes a hard foul, goes to the line somewhere he's lived all year, but now he's drawing more legitimate fouls by being this direct and this physical, getting to the rim, and at his size, this is stuff that he can really easily replicate throughout the rest of the season. And by playing quick, decisive off the catch, getting downhill, not shying away from contact, leads to opportunities like this later in the game. So we see Ament on the left wing here. Gillespie attacks middle, draws the help defender, which frees up Ament, draws the closeout, quick, decisive drive baseline. Ament knows there's all this space here. In one of those earlier clips, we saw him try and drive middle. It wasn't there, but this time he does a much better job of recognizing where the defender's closing out from, where the space is, attacks baseline, and then instead of trying to pull up for a mid-ranger or a floater or something uncomfortable here, he goes through the body of the weak side rotation, keeps the ball high, secures it with both hands, initiates the contact, draws the foul, secures it through the contact, and then has the scoring touch to put it in off the glass. And these are the types of situations with his shooting threat and then the size and the physicality that he played with throughout this game that he can continue to grow into all year long, both in college and the NBA. This was personally my favorite play from Ament all game because it blends that off-ball creation into some on-ball craft and mid-range scoring. I just really, really like how quickly and decisively he went through this series of decisions. So gets the switch on Phylon. Estrella comes up and does a nice job of releasing to get the pitch back, attacks downhill, recognizes paint is very clogged right now, very crowded. So instead of forcing it, he knows that Estrella is still in the short roll here. So, hey, let's reuse him. We had him on the initial little screen on the DHO. He's still here. Let's reset. Attack back to the left side of the floor. Reuse that screen. And now instead of trying to drive in where Carey is posting up with a defender, now Ament gets to attack back towards the left side where there's a whole lot more space and he can attack down into, and the help defender can't fully commit because now that's strong side corner shooter, and you don't help off strong side corner shooters. So as he comes off the handoff, great recognition, veers back immediately, nothing overly complicated, but quick, decisive, and really confident. Slow plays it so he doesn't get out of control, gets to his spot, gets Phylon on his back, rises up, high release point, protects the ball, tries to bait Phylon into a foul. Phylon bails at the last second, and he's able to drop in the runner. But this is where Ament can really blend some of the on-ball creation stuff that we saw in high school into more of that off-ball role that he's more comfortable and more effective at in college. And then finally on this one, it's a little bit more of what we've seen from Ament throughout this year with a slight twist. So he has a really good matchup here on Phylon, and right off the bat, I like how I really like the confidence. He's rolling here. He tells Okpara, hey, get out of here. I have the opposing point guard on me. I'm going to go to work. I'm feeling it. Get out of my space. Let me work. And I just like how physical he is right off the bat here. Gets low and really tries to impose himself on Phylon. As he spins here, a month ago, he's probably rising straight up. But instead, I love how he uses his length to extend that ball out and bait Phylon into trying to reach for it. Spoiler, Ament has the length advantage here because he's 6'10" and a much larger human being. But it's way more craft, and he extends that ball out to bait Phylon into reaching, but he's also going towards the rim. It's not just dangling the ball out on some turnaround fadeaway jumper where he's off balance. He's dictating everything in this situation. Spins against Phylon, extends out, going towards the rim, being aggressive, getting downhill, trying to get to the hoop. And this was really a fun bit of foul baiting, foul hunting, bit of craft here. Gets the foul, doesn't get the bucket, but instead of trying to settle for a sloppy mid-range turnaround that he can maybe get bailed out with a foul on, instead he's dictating the action, being aggressive, and getting downhill to legitimately draw that foul. So where does that leave us with Nate Ament? Because this felt like his best game in a Tennessee jersey by a country mile. The key here is, where do we go from here? If this is the version of Ament that we get for the rest of the season, then we can start to reignite some of those lottery top 10 potential talks. Because this has been what we saw against Alabama was a completely different player than what we saw for the first 2/3 of the season. Previously, he played a little soft. Sorry to use the S word, but there was a lot of foul baiting stuff. There was very little going towards the rim. The playmaking vision and decisiveness wasn't there. I'm not saying he's a perfect player all of a sudden, but hopefully this is a turning point in how he processes and how he attacks college basketball, because he is a huge dude. He's a good shooter, and hopefully once he starts dialing in that range a little more consistently, more and more performances like this start to happen. Because when he's aggressive and actually getting downhill, being physical, being aggressive, looking to get to the basket and not just draw cheap touch fouls in the mid-range, good things tend to happen. And that's what we saw throughout this game against Alabama. So still some stuff to clean up on the defensive end. Still a lot of work to do as an on-ball creator. There's some fun passing flashes. But as an off-ball wing, an off-ball creator, and an off-ball scorer, if Ament can continue to be more decisive, simple, and direct in his attacks and in his shot selection, good things could really, really start to emerge, not only for his draft stock, but also for Tennessee basketball.